Eric Ten Hag's Man United job is selling like a hot cake. From Zinedine Zidane, now Thomas Tuchel, everyone is saying, I want it, I can take it, these are my terms, listen to the offer. Welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. Now, guys, after that forgettable performance that saw us in the final of the FA Cup, but in a painful manner, oh goodness, how painful it was watching Man United beat Coventry. Now, the speculations have been on. Eric Ten Hag out, sack him, sack him, sack him. People want him out. Now, the managers who are not employed or who will not be employed in the summer are already on the lookout, saying, okay, is it there? Is it available or not? Now, the latest is that Thomas Tuchel, the current Bayern Munich manager, who has been confirmed to leave Bayern Munich at the end of this season, has told his agency to be open to listen to Manchester United should they come calling for his services, interested in him. Now, we all know that Thomas Tuchel is one of the few high-profile managers lately. I mean, from Borussia Dortmund, where he saw decent, success, then joined Paris Saint-Germain, fair success. Then he joined Chelsea, where he won the Champions League, but was there for a short time. And now Bayern Munich, where I think it has been his worst of all jobs he has done, honestly. It is forgettable, but that doesn't take away the fact that he's one of the few managers who can handle big teams. Now, Tuchel has been around, he's been there, done it, achieved decently well. Now, he's one of those who INEOS apparently are considering for the Eric Ten Hag job should they go ahead and pull the bullet or the trigger on him. Now, Alan Shearer and some legends at Man United, like Gary Neville, seem to hint on the fact that INEOS have made their decision on Eric Ten Hag after the inconsistency, or you would say the consistent and unconvincing performances. They have made their decision but are yet to make it public. Why? Because of what Sir Jim Ratcliffe hinted on in that interview after the London Marathon, where he spoke to Sky and he was saying that the biggest problem in football today is the fact that you sign guys you want to work with, but because of the gardening leave in football, they cannot work for you until after a year or 2 years. So it slows the process, yet the fans are not patient with you. So they have got to, find ways of making things happen in the circumstances. So that's the situation that United is in. I think he was hinting and referring mostly to Omar Berrada, who left Man City a long time ago. He's not working for them no more, but he can't work for Manchester United either. He's on gardening leave, paid to do absolutely nothing. So is Dan Ashworth, who left Newcastle, gardening leave, and his might be longer. Omar Berrada might join us in the summer, but Dan Ashworth, we could have to wait for as long as a whole year without him working at Manchester United. So it's a bit slowing, especially for someone who is seen as a messiah, who is seen as our Moses, who is going to lead Manchester United from from the gutters and the torture of Egypt and lead us to the promised land of Man United. And it's painful, but it's the reality of football today. These are the rules of the game. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe hinted on the fact that it makes matters difficult. No, now with that in mind, the speculations linking Man United to Thomas Tuchel would make sense. Why? Sir Jim Ratcliffe said we should judge him after 3 years. Now, if he's going to be judged after 3 years, he might want to get a manager who can make Man United almost compete for a title in those 3 years. Now, Tuchel is that kind of manager. He's not a builder, if you ask me. I think he's more of a manager who you bring to try and win titles. It can work or it can fail, but his job is not to build. That's why he's sort of a journeyman. Journeymen are not really builders. They are winners. They come, win for you titles, and leave. When they're not winning, they leave. They don't build anything for you. Now, if we are going to wait longer on Dan Ashworth, because if Man United is going to rebuild, they will need Dan Ashworth and Omar Berrada properly sat in and sunk in place. Now, and Dan Ashworth's role is the most important in a rebuilding, a team that is building. Now, if Ashworth is going to come after a year, the fans will not wait for a year to see results happening. They will need a United still competing. So bring in a manager who is going to try and win. He could win by that. This Thomas Tuchel is a manager. He's tactical. He has got the tactics that can surprisingly win a major title for Man United in a short time. But that would then be to please the fans and fit into what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said, judge me after 3 years, because in a few years he could come and almost help us win a major title. But in the longer run, United still need to rebuild. Now, we would need a manager who is going to be rebuilding. Now, that is the one who would work under Dan Ashworth for the longer period. Now, the decisions have got to be made. It's a rock and a hard place. So INEOS has got to decide if they want a manager who is going to build. Perhaps the current Eric Ten Hag would be a better option than Thomas Tuchel. But if they want to win titles, to try and compete, to try and win titles, Thomas Tuchel is by far a better option at that level of Man United than Eric Ten Hag would be. So those are the confusions, and now these are the conversations and thoughts going on, and that's why I said it makes work difficult. Whereas Ineos had a plan when they were coming in, the fact that they don't they don't have the people they trust to do the work in place in time. It is going to change their initial plan, and they will try to just do things to manage the situation, just in the short term, just to please the fans. Because the thing with the Man United job that they took on is, whereas yes, you need time. Realistically, in football, you need time to achieve great things. With Man United, you don't have a lot of time because the 700 or close to 1 billion fans globally demand for results. People are already blaming Sir Jim Ratcliffe when he has not even settled into the job. There are Man United supporters out there who are saying, what has changed since Sir Jim Ratcliffe came? Why hasn't he sacked Ten Hag? Why are these players still there? They don't know how football works. They are not patient. They don't care. All they want to see, if you're the one in charge, you want results. And they don't care about the rot behind the club, what they don't see. They are only beginning to appreciate how deep the rot was now, but before they weren't. So that's the nature of the situation that is at Manchester United. But Sir Jim seems determined to, of course, try and get things working. But for me, my take on Thomas Tuchel is, whereas he's a high-profile manager, whereas he's good, for me, instead of going for Tuchel, who, yes, has said he wants the job, I think if he's the option, he would rather stick with Eric Ten Hag and give him a little bit of time to see what he can do. Because honestly, a manager who won a title in his first season and finished third in the league, got all these issues, injuries, and what have you, and had signed players and it's not working, has not got the right team the team in place, and but then still reach a final of the FA Cup, a cup final, which could even win. Honestly, it becomes difficult. And if he wins it, which I most likely think is going to happen by the way, it becomes extremely difficult to sack such a manager. But for me, if Tuchel is the option, I would stick with Eric Ten Hag a little bit longer. If Zinedine Zidane is the option, I would go for Zidane. And there was someone who was telling me that Zidane is not proven and all. He's not a proven winner. You see, the thing with Zidane is he instantly solves the problems that United has. Zidane is the manager who can come in the dressing room at Man United and these same players will play football like they never did before. You see how poor they are? If Zinedine Zidane is your manager, you've got to play football because they will all respect him as a guy who played the game. See, just the mentality. Think about it. I was listening to Eden Hazard. He gave an interview. He was his role model, and Hazard is one of the best. He's a Premier League Hall of Famer, probably the youngest in the Hall of Fame. But he said the best manager he had was Zinedine Zidane, not because probably he was the most tactical, but because he was his role model. Imagine Eden Hazard. And when he played for him he had accomplished. He would listen to whatever he says because that is his Zinedine Zidane. Now, just his presence at Old Trafford alone would be, every player would die. Every player would do everything they have to do. No player would be substituted at halftime and they would be frowning and going on Twitter to like a comment from Mark Goldbridge or whoever or Webb. You just have to listen when Zidane tells you because it's like Lionel Messi being your manager. You must listen. So that's what he would change. It is not exactly because he's so tactical, but the personality and the presence of him. And you see, at times you don't even need to be so tactical. The tactics in football, even these players have the tactics probably. They know the tactics are obvious. There are assistants, there are teams you can research, you can make calls. The tactics can be there. But the personality, and that's something that Eric Ten Hag lacks a lot. He lacks the personality that will inspire players, that will inspire a fan base, that will drive and bring the whole fan base together. But picture Zinedine Zidane on the Manchester United touchline. Honestly, from the players to the fans to the directors to everyone respects Zinedine Zidane. There will be a cohesion like no other, and that is something that has been lacking because the club is divided now. You need a manager who is going to bring the club back together. And for me, if I look around of all the managers we've been linked with, the best one would be Zinedine Zidane. He may not even be there to stay for so long. Just his presence on the touchline at Manchester United would be enough to bring the whole team, from the players to the staff to the coaches to the fans to the directors, everyone. He will bring togetherness because he is probably one of the if not the most respected former footballer who is manager now. He's so respected that everyone will back him. Whether it works would be a story of another day. But the one thing he would achieve is to bring the whole Man United fraternity back together as a whole unit, which is important. Without saying a word, Zinedine Zidane would achieve that. So that's why I keep saying that for me, if Tuchel is the option, if we'll stick with Eric Ten Hag, but if Zinedine Zidane is the option, Ten Hag should just depart the next day and Zidane comes in. How it goes, we'll see later, but the togetherness will be there from the top to the bottom. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. Subscribe and let me catch you later.